comment on this talk just to say how much I didn't really care about the N64. So this is going to be fun, man.
No, and that's a great way to start it. Thank you, Ben. There we go. We're in with that. You're putting that in as the intro now.
Oh, fine. All right.
There you go. That's one way to talk about it. Anyway, happy birthday, Nintendo 64. We're cheating a little bit, I might add, because it came out in Japan and America in 1996, making it 18 years old. We didn't get it till March 97. So we're cheating a little bit because it has just celebrated its 18th birthday officially. I must add also that I've got Skype video running while we do this. So although you won't see the Skype video, I can see Janny. Hello, Janny.
Hello.
With your
wait, have we actually started?
We have.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for joining us, Janny. And Mr. Louch there as well. Hello.
I'm here, man. How's it going?
Well, we're doing all right, I think. What we're going to do, though, and we'll be honest about this, we're not going to record the podcast because circumstances out of our control and whatever, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Mean that we'd still like to put something up, though. And one of the topics this week was going to be to talk about the Nintendo 64 turning 18. And I thought it would be a bit... the other stuff we can save, the other stuff... We were coming up to the big 50 podcast, and I didn't want to ruin that one. We need something special for that one. So we want Johnny on board. We want everybody here. We want to do that properly.
Yeah.
But so we'll save all the what have you been doing, what have you been playing, and we're just going to get straight on with talking about the Nintendo 64. And what I asked you guys to do in the week was just come up with your top 5 Nintendo 64 games of all time, and then I might scrutinize you and maybe just delve a bit deeper into why you've picked those. I kind of want to start with Janny. Because yours didn't go in order, apparently. You've texted me saying, yeah, they're not in any particular order. Why couldn't you come up with an order, Janny?
Well, I didn't want to go with the standard, because this is where it was difficult. First of all, I had about 10 minutes to think about it. And
apart from the other 3 days in between.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'll be honest with you, I haven't thought about it since.
It's not an excuse, not an excuse, Janny, not an excuse. I'm looking at the text now from Jaime, right? My text fired back to him within 4 minutes with my list. Boom.
Right. Wait, shit, no.
He doesn't have an excuse, it doesn't matter.
There's no excuse.
He's stumped. It doesn't matter. I kind of put you guys on the spot with a text, so it was nice to be able to just get your replies anyway. There was a moment where me and Janny were talking about our top 5, and I said, Superman 64, Superman 64, Superman 64. Just copy-paste that 5 times, man. And he agreed, and we kind of got lost in that.
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem, is we got a bit distracted, because I also mentioned the awesome FIFA 64, and then...
Oh, yes,
yeah. Things just got a bit silly after that. So my list of... Okay, so... Diddy Kong Racing is up there because I think it's the first attempt anyone's ever had at challenging Mario Kart, and it tweaked it enough. Now, I was a big fan of Mario Kart 64. I put a lot of hours into the multiplayer, and I was pretty good at it. But Diddy Kong Racing was that little bit different, that it actually stood out more. So that's why I enjoyed it, and it had a bit of... It almost took... what made Mario 64 memorable, and that's having I don't really want to use the phrase open world, but it's sort of like the going to and from levels in between. So a bit like what Crash Team Racing did as well.
Yeah.
But I can't remember which one came first.
Racing in between actual events and so on. But I do agree with you. I'll be honest now, I'm not going to get to my top 5 just yet, but I haven't put either of those games in my list. But if I had, I preferred Diddy Kong Racing by far to Mario Kart 64. By far.
I'll agree as well.
I do sometimes think about contendership for a new Diddy Kong Racing, but then he'll probably just end up being loads of DLC of his characters at some point. No, because they can't really, can they? I suppose they can do something with it. Thought maybe just putting some of his characters in Mario Kart 8 now that they've got the DLC. But
I personally don't think we need another Diddy Kong Racing game at all, because whereas Diddy Kong Racing was better than Mario Kart 64, like that's a fact. For me anyway, that was better.
That is a scientific fact.
Yeah, Mario Kart has evolved, and now Mario Kart is a much better game. Mario Kart now is far better than it was back in the day.
But when you think about what the sort of stuff that Diddy Kong Racing did very well at its first attempt, right? You had not only did you have karts, but you also had hovercrafts and planes, and that was amazing. And Mario Kart didn't really, I don't think featured either of those
Mario Kart right now, the one they
Wii.
just released on the Wii, yeah, it has underwater sections where your carts transform and go into like sort of submarine cars. It has zero gravity sections where they go into hover cars. It has like flying sections where like your like parachutes and stuff come out and you glide through the air. It basically has all the features that Diddy Kong had back in the day, but it does it better now.
Yeah, well, this is it. We're comparing a game from what 99, I think
it would have been 98.
Yeah.
98,
don't get me wrong.
So this is what I mean. It's almost a shock that they didn't progress. All it ended up with was a port on the DS, if I remember rightly.
I think it may have been 97 even. Sorry, just to cut in again. It might have been the end of 97. Yeah.
I remember there was a lot of hype when it came out. So
I will say though, it didn't stand the test of time because the DS re-release, I don't know, might be just best left alone on the N64.
No, the problem with that.
Sorry,
the problem with the DS re-release is that it was re-released alongside a Mario Kart, which is like, to me anyway, probably still one of the best Mario Karts ever made. So
the DS one, yeah,
couldn't compete, man.
No, of course.
But don't forget, if you play any N64 game, barring maybe Mario 64, none of them have aged well. GoldenEye is practically unplayable. ISS and all the others, but they're still, for their time, are really good games. So anyway, going back to my list, so that was one of them that was on it, with no particular order. Banjo-Kazooie was the next one. Now, I wanted to put Mario 64 on there, but I thought that was a bit predictable, and it had been on there for the impact it had, and it was an amazing game. But again, Banjo-Kazooie just looked so much nicer. And I know it came out afterwards and blah, blah. But it was an incredible game. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. So I really did enjoy it. And again, great levels, great character designs. I couldn't fault it. So that's why that's on there. Oh no, sorry, tell I Mario 64 is on.
I didn't want to butt in, but I'm looking at your next game in line.
Game.
Yeah. So you've obviously remembered your list very well, Jaime.
I've got it written here in front of me.
Yeah,
I'm reading the same text message.
I've got it here now.
So yeah, Mario 64. Okay, I think if it wasn't on anyone's list, I'd be very disappointed. It was incredible. It's the sole reason I ended up getting an N64 was my friend, I think he bought his in France or something, and came back, and we just sat there playing it all day, and just like panning around, seeing like when you're in the grounds when you first start the game, that will always stick with me. It was just a fantastic game. I absolutely loved it. Moving on, ISS 64. Now, I don't care what anyone says. This is the daddy of all 3D football games. It was just incredible. The commentary, the ridiculous commentary, I should say. Just the way the ball would like somehow stick to your feet. It was great. It was so good for its time, and now it ends up as PES, which is so shit for its time. Yeah, Jay, what about you? Did you play? You must have played ISS 64, right?
Yeah. I'm not doing my top 5 yet. You've still got one to go.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, I do have things to say about ISS, but I kind of don't want to spoil my top 5 at the same time. I enjoyed the ISS series. If I go back, I'll still probably say ISS Gold on the SNES. It's probably still one of the top games. What was it? No, it's just ISS for the SNES. Yeah,
I know
that's probably still one of my favorite football games of all time. Still, but no, I mean ISS definitely. It's a shame now. I see PES, the new PES. Sorry, it's only going to be about £35 on Amazon for the current gen console version. That's worrying, I suppose. But it's definitely a series that lost its touch with the N64. After that, it's died for me. I'm not even a massive fan of the PS2. When PES really kicked off as its own name.
When Pro Evo.
When it all came about, to change name, really. I didn't stick with it because I wasn't really into the Sony consoles, and it seemed to just be anyone was playing on the PS2.
Yeah. Now I've got to download the demo. Sorry, just digress a bit. The demo of PES is out, and I haven't played the demo yet. I know Scott's playing it, but I will play it to talk about next week.
I'll join you in that conversation. I've played it. So
considering FIFA's unplayable at the moment. So anyway, and then I think the other game, no surprise, is Ocarina of Time. This must be the first game I actually played. I must have put in well over 100 hours, just either dicking around or just playing through the whole storyline and actually wanting to 100% everything. This is the first game I did all that with. I think I tried it with A Link to the Past. Yeah, A Link to the Past, but I couldn't find something when I was a kid. This was before guides as well. Although
this is when you had to phone a call. Like you had to phone the place. It's like, I'm stuck on this level. You need to help me. I never did that, but I don't know. That just amazed me when I see that on the back of an issue of Games Master. Like, call our helpline. It's definitely not a sex line.
Even though they had enough boobs in there to make you think it was a sex line. I seem to remember the legendary water temple and just me and my friend spending a whole weekend trying to solve it. And how old would I have been then? 18 years ago? I don't even want to know. Too young. Anyway, and that was really, really challenging. So it's just those memories it has, and Ganondorf was just I think his design for the game was brilliant. He's not like the fat ones of recent years or what have you. He actually gave you a bit of a chill, actually, even though he used basically Jasper Carrot in a black suit, a black metal suit. So yeah, those were my top 5, but I couldn't. This is where I struggled. I did have a few others which I felt was an honourable mention. There's obviously GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and we've already spoken about Mario Kart. Now there's Conker's Bad Fur Day. That was a stroke. I thought that was a stroke of genius from Rare because it wasn't very. It was pretty unheard of, really, for a game to be so crude, especially from a cartoon character which had come from. I mean, Conker was my driver of choice in Diddy Kong Racing because of his tail, and you could power slide and get bananas or whatever it was. Anyway, so to actually burst onto this scene as this foul-mouthed squirrel, it was such a shock. But it was actually a pretty good game. I
do remember, like, my friend had bought it, and I went round. I honestly hadn't seen anything about it really at the time. And he was like, "Yeah, look, I'm on this boss. It's a giant turd."
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. Kind of like, all right then. I don't know about this, but no. It definitely just changed the scene at the time, didn't it? Just something different.
Yep. It was very adult themed, shall we say. And then finally, there's a game which came out on the N64 and then just I haven't heard of in absolutely years, and it's Silicon Valley.
Man, what a game.
What a game!
Oh my God.
I rented this game, and I was just blown away. It was fantastic. I'm using so many adjectives at the moment, but my God, what a great little game! You were just a microchip, weren't you? And you scurried around into was it robotic animals? This is such a long time ago I played this.
Yeah, it is definitely, and like the fox would have like the wheels to like whiz along faster, and it was so clever for its time. And now you mention it, it just makes me think the possibilities for a game such as that now. You know what they could do with that now. It's there, isn't it? It's on a plate for them. What a great game! Oh,
brilliant!
Right? About it.
So that was a nice little gem. So that's why I was a bit. I really wanted that to be in my top 5, but because I didn't own it, I couldn't put it in there because I literally spent a weekend playing it. Rented it from a store that doesn't even exist anymore. So that's my top 5 and honourable mentions. I know I've hogged the limelight a bit here. There's also like the others, but we'll talk about some of the others later on.
Yeah, we can round up at the end if you like, because otherwise your top 5 and honourable mentions might just be our top 5s as well.
Yeah, that's why
Ben's just frantically changing his because he had Putty Fighters in at number 5, and now he's clicking Clay Fighters, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you do. I'll let you do yours now, Ben.
Okay, cool. I'm going to preface it by saying that as much as I enjoyed my time with the N64, I was never an N64 kid, so I was never like I wasn't thinking, oh, I've got to play it on N64. I was more of a PlayStation person.
Yeah.
So I played my PS1 way more than I played my N64. But I gave it quite a bit of love, man. I'm going to start with an honorable mention before I do my list. My honorable mention is Mystical Ninja, starring Gomon, which was an awesome game, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the original Mystical Ninja on the SNES. Start off with my list then. At number 5, I've got GoldenEye. Pretty much for the same reasons that Janny listed, man. Back in the day, like, it was an amazing co-op experience, and I've spent way too much time playing 4-player on that game with my friends. At number 4, yeah?
Is it the... Am I right in saying it is probably the most... It's the best movie tie-in game ever? Or it's up there as...
What, are we talking just purely movie tie-ins?
Yes.
In which case, maybe, yeah. If you were talking like movie/TV show tie-ins, then South Park Stick of Truth makes it look like shit, man. Anyway, right, number 4, I've got Jet Force Gemini. I know Jamie played Jet Force Gemini, man.
No, I loved it. When I got your top 5, I was like, yeah, you know it, Jet Force Gemini.
Did you ever play Jet Force Gemini, Janny?
I did recently because...
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. No, because for whatever reasons happened, I ended up buying a load of cheap N64 games, and I took them over to Italy, and I was playing it in this year, in the summer, but I didn't really get... It's difficult for me to say this because games on the N64 have not aged well. And,
exactly.
Yeah, so I can't say with any great weight of if I think it's good or not. So just ignore that.
It would be harder to retrospectively, I think, try and play it now and say it's great, I suppose, but I don't know.
The N64 gets a lot of love from nostalgic people who remember its 3D platformers. Specifically like the ones that Rare made, like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, and obviously Mario 64. But Jet Force Gemini is really the only one that I ever enjoyed, and maybe that's because it was, it had like the sci-fi theme and it had a lot of shooting going on in it. But I'm right in thinking that Jet Force Gemini was made by Rare, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a Rare game. Yeah.
So
it nearly had a Game Boy spin-off as well, and then that got canned. But no, it's just kind of fell off the radar because it sold over 2 million copies though. I found that out about it, which is strong numbers.
But yeah, I absolutely loved it back in the day, man. I sessioned it all the time. It was awesome. Number 3, I've got Super Smash Bros. The original. For obvious reasons.
Glad I didn't open my mouth earlier.
I was
I don't. Yeah.
I was a massive Pokemon fan at the time, and I was drawn to Super Smash Bros. Mainly because you could play as like Pikachu and stuff in it. But it ended up being a really, really fun, like... It was a fun fighting game, but it was also almost like a gateway to other Nintendo franchises, because I played Super Smash Bros. Before I played almost any of their other major titles for the N64, and it almost made me enjoy them more, because I'd already played Smash Bros. And been introduced to the characters. So that's why that's there. Number 2, I've got Pokemon Stadium, the game that I played the most out of anything. Anything on the N64. Again, I was a massive Pokemon fan at the time, and the fact that I could plug in my Pokemon Red or my Pokemon Blue and import my Pokemon into this game and then have them do battle in full 3D, it was just amazing. I spent so much time playing it. It was ridiculous. And number 1, it might seem like a cop-out, but Ocarina of Time is my favorite game on the system. Just for, Janny was hinting at it before, when you see Ganondorf for the first time and stuff, it was it's the atmosphere of that game. It had really real atmosphere that made it sent shivers down my spine and stuff. And it was the first time that I'd seen that happen in a game, So it was one of the games that I put it up there with Metal Gear Solid, the original for the PlayStation, where I play these games and they were what sparked my love for the medium. They were the games that showed me that games could be more than just a way to just have a bit of fun. It could give you a deeper experience, and I will always love it for that, regardless of what people say about it as to whether it's overhyped or whatever. But yeah, that's my top 5, man. Good times.
Interesting. We'll get some more thoughts on it in a minute, though. But I'm just going to start my top 5 by saying Ocarina of Time isn't in my top 5.
Fair play.
No, I mean, it's a great game. Yes, it is. And I know Johnny's not here now to tell us his top 5, but I can obviously promise you it's included in his as well. Of course it is. But for me, it's a great game, but it's just going to be that. The top 5 I've picked are the top 5 that I played more than anything on the machine, and the ones that when I think of N64 take me back to my N64 days and times that I've really had a great time playing it.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a great time on Ocarina of Time on the 3DS also, and it is still a great game when it's ported over to that. It is still a great game, and it always will be. And I could go back and play it on the N64 and it would be fine. But the top 5 that I've picked, like I say, it's just more the ones that the memories stand out for me, which is why number 5 might be a game you've never heard of, but I've got some great times attached to it, and that's Mischief Makers. Get my words out there for a minute.
Yes.
So, see, Janny knows Mischief Makers. Do you know Mischief Makers, Ben?
It rings a bell. I think, was it on PlayStation as well? Because I may have played it on one of my old demo discs, man.
I'm not sure if it would have been released on another format at the time. I would have been too young to really be invested in knowing what other platforms were doing then, and we didn't have the medium that we have now, do we? So, like, when a game's released now, you know what it's on straight away just from what people are saying online or whatever. But when this was coming out, you know, I would have got it through my uncle. We're talking, I would have been 10 when this console was released, and it makes me old now. It makes me feel really old, because you guys would have been even younger. So,
18 years. It's finally legal.
Well, I didn't want to do anything like that to it. But yeah, no, Mischief Makers was developed by Treasure, and they'd done like Gunstar Heroes previous and stuff like that. And it was just a game. All you did was shake stuff, and it was a 2D side-scroll platformer. But I had a fucking hell of a great time playing it, and I'd still play it now. I watched somebody playing a walkthrough of it online when we were preparing for the podcast today, and I just had a little look again. I thought it looks like shit now, but do you know what? I wanted to play it because it's still a great game. It is. It doesn't matter how it looks.
I've just seen who published it. It was NX.
It's NX before the whole before the merger with Square, before the whole Square Enix days. But it was them. Put through, published by Nintendo. So I guess maybe it wasn't ported anywhere else or released anywhere else. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go back and have a look. Number 4. It's going to be something that none of you would really have on your list because it's wrestling, and that's WWF No Mercy. I had to include it. Like, it was close. Like, you know, Mischief Makers nearly got knocked off the bottom by, I'll put my honourable mention in now then as well, but the Mario Tennis game for the N64.
Yes.
So Mischief Makers was nearly knocked off the bottom to have something like that in there as well. But then I remember WWF No Mercy, and it was around about the same time as Mario Tennis, and the memories then just shone through for No Mercy, and I just got a big grin on my face thinking about playing the matches with some friends at the time, and just the way they progressed, because WrestleMania came out in '99, and then this was the next year. And like, I remember taking the day off school. I got WrestleMania on my birthday. I phoned, didn't go into school, anything like that. And then No Mercy just blew me away even more so. I was so like into it, so far gone at the time into wrestling when I was this age. I just couldn't beat it at the time. Love it. It's still probably the best wrestling game available. But it's good. You know, the new 2K15 could do the business, but nothing's had me so immersed in a wrestling game like No Mercy did.
Now I remember putting a lot of time into SmackDown, Just Bring It on PS2.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from with that. Like, when I look back and think, as much as I don't want to admit it, it was probably one of my most played PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. Anyway.
But that's what my list's about. It's just the ones that really do bring those memories. But yeah, number 3. The reason I didn't want to touch on it too much, Janny, is you were mentioning ISS-64 in your list, and I didn't mean to blank you with it, but it's because I put ISS-98 in mine.
That was the follow-up.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to hide from it, but I preferred the follow-up. I preferred ISS-98. I think it was just a bit more refined. The commentary was essentially the same. The controls were practically the same, but like I said, just a little bit more polished off. And
you're right. It did look better and everything. Now, I had 64, so I didn't get 98, but from what I read, it had
Ravanelli on the cover, and you didn't buy it.
Yeah, but I couldn't afford it. This is when games are 50 quid, and you couldn't even argue that. There was no Amazon, there was no eBay, there was no going to Game and saying price match this, motherfucker. There was nothing like that. There's no hot UK deals. It was 50 quid or 70 in Turk's case, but
Yeah, some of them were more. People need to check their business before they complain about the price of games these days.
oh hell no, I'm still gonna complain.
I paid £60 for a NES game. Just get off it, right? You're paying nothing now, basically, compared to that, especially with inflation and pay rise, all that stuff. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I think I preferred that one. Again, mentioning the wrestling being the best one. ISS 98 is still probably one of the best games, football games. Probably FIFA 96 on the SNES will top it.
Well, is that FIFA International Soccer? Or was that?
No, FIFA 96 Gold on the SNES was with the indoor football and all that
okay.
jazz. So I think that
FIFA
probably tops 98. Well,
FIFA International Soccer the one where you could run around and headbutt people?
No. FIFA International Soccer is the one where you could run away from the referee when he was going to give you a booking, and he would chase you around the screen.
if you YouTube search Benny Hill theme, you'll probably find about 50% of them are set to that video.
It was sorry to digress a bit. I may be wrong, but I think it was the first FIFA as we sort of know it. It was a isometric view.
Yeah.
And it's actually really difficult to play nowadays, but it was for its time. It was fantastic. So
hell, anything before, I don't know, FIFA 2003 now will be really hard to play. Anything before that,
apart from SWAS. Anyway.
No, still can't. Anyway, number 2.
One button.
Please, Nintendo, can I have this ported over to the 3DS? It is one of those games now that I would give up playing new games for the next 6 months and just stick with old. If you could just release Mystical Ninja starring Gomon on the 3DS as a port. It's so far gone. For me to be that young playing something like this, something was wrong with the people letting me play this game when I was that young. But no, it's a brilliant game, and I get just strange tingles just thinking about that game now because you have to play it. I don't know, like Ben mentioned it. Have you played it, Gianni?
I actually missed the title of the game. I was hoping you'd mention it again.
Oh, fucking hell. Mystical Ninja starring Gomon. The big blue spiky haired guy.
I read so much about that game. I really, really wanted it, and I didn't play it ever.
Because, I would have been young at the time. I wouldn't have played any previous installments. But am I right in thinking it's based on like an old thief, like an old story about some thief or something in real life? I don't know.
Yeah. It's a character based on some sort of like Japanese folklore thief. Apparently, he's like a noble thief or something.
I know, right? Fucking Google, amazing.
Google's amazing.
Edit
It's not Google, shut up.
I didn't just Google that. What are you on about?
And then
we were just thinking really hard.
And then I can just highlight the fact that we were able to edit the video and make it look like that was supposed to be seamless, and then just ruin it. But anyway, please, Nintendo, could I have that on my 3DS? That would be amazing, and I'd love you forever, even more. I'd forget all about the Wii if you just brought me that game. But then, okay, let's do number 1. And it's probably obvious what I've got as number 1. Is it obvious what I've got as number 1?
Super Mario 64?
Yeah, of course I have. I still think, to this day, it's the greatest game ever made. Hands down. I don't think there's been a better Mario game. I don't think there's been a better game.
Don't like it.
You don't like it? You can go fuck yourself. No, go on. I think we're kind of, obviously I've explained my top 5 and we've done it now, so you can tell me why. Go on.
I played I had a NES, right? I had a NES way late though. So I had a NES around the same time I had a Mega Drive. Maybe towards the end of the Mega Drive's life cycle is when I first played Mario, like the original Mario Bros game, and I fucking loved it, man. And then I went and got a Super Nintendo and I played the games on that as well. I had like Mario All Stars, and I really, really liked that 2D Mario style. Like that flavor of Mario was my favorite. And when Mario 64 came out, I actually played it. It's going to be like one of my aunt and uncle's thing. It was my cousin's fiance had an N64, and I didn't have one at that point, and I played it at his house, and like I was impressed by how it looked and stuff. Don't get me wrong, and like the full 3D control and stuff was impressive, but it just didn't feel like Mario to me. Like I couldn't see that as Mario, and it didn't stop there. I didn't enjoy a 3D Mario game like that until Mario Galaxy. Like
Wow.
I didn't like Mario Sunshine. Like, yeah, Mario Galaxy was the
Yeah, but-
first 3D Mario game that I truly enjoyed.
Wow.
That's
Can we
hard to
kick
hear.
you? Can we
Yeah.
kick you off the podcast now?
Well, I'm just being honest, man. I could like
That's
blow smoke
sacrilegious.
up your ass and be like, "Yeah, Mario 64, man." But,
No, I appreciate it though. I mean,
That's sacrilegious.
for the reasons you say you don't see it as a Mario game are the reasons that's what I see when I think of a Mario game now. When I think of a Mario game, I think of the castle, I think of paintings on a wall, I think of the big thwomp when your first level boss fight.
Chain Chomp and
These things to me, that is Mario now. And no matter what he does in his series now, they're great games, but they'll never have that, they'll never stand the test of time like that one has for me.
Yeah.
I go back and I play Sunshine. No, can't. I can't play all the way through again. I try and play even the new entry with the cats on the Wii U. No, just can't. Couldn't go back and play that again. Not really. Mario 64. I'll play the DS version for a bit. Not as good. No, got to go back to the original.
Now going back to games that have that instant instant first impression that you get and that never ends. Mario 64 is up there, and I think second only to The Legend of Zelda, and that's only because everywhere you went there was something iconic, something new, and it just looked fantastic. But that's no mean feat. I mean, Ocarina of Time didn't come out for what, another 2 years? Am I right? I can't imagine it was only a year. I thought it was a bit longer.
I don't know. We've used all our edits up now. We can't go off and Google search that one.
Whatever. Mario 60. The point is, Mario 64 was the first. It was a launch title, and was it? I'm sure it was. Anyway.
Yes.
It's a launch title, so you wouldn't expect it to be perfect, but there wasn't much wrong with it. Now, people will criticize it and say, yeah, it didn't have, the Koopa Troopers weren't didn't feature very much, or some of the enemies didn't even appear. Yoshi wasn't in it until the very end. Luigi wasn't even there. But I think those people are missing the point. And it basically did everything to platforming that Sonic just could not replicate.
Well, I think Mario 64 was essentially a demo for the Nintendo 64's capabilities, and it ended up being the greatest thing on there. It was there to highlight the fact that it had a 360-degree analog stick for the first time anyone had done that. The C buttons for the camera. It was highlighting what the console could do, and it ended up just being great on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The same way Wii Bowling shows what the Wii can do, but actually good,
And ironically still did it better than everything else that tried to imitate it afterwards.
Yes.
Actually, that contradicts what I said, because I still rate Banjo-Kazooie higher, but...
apparently not, because your top five's not in order.
Yeah, all right.
No particular order, remember, Johnny? Come on.
Yeah, no particular order.
Sorry, that's true. I don't rate it higher. I rate it on par because it, as I said, because of the reasons we discussed earlier. But
if you look at these, so Nintendo 64 kind of birthed a great range of these 3D platformers then. And Ben, you said you didn't like Mario 64. If I lined you up now and you had to play Mario, the Donkey Kong 64, or Banjo-Kazooie...
Well, I never played Donkey Kong 64, and I never played Banjo-Kazooie either. So
wow.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
I wasn't kidding when I said that I wasn't really an N64 kid, man. I did most of my gaming on my PlayStation, and I played a select few games on the N64. I was unlucky enough to own Superman 64, so I was there for that fucking train wreck.
Jesus, no wonder why you didn't spend much on the N64. Fucking hell.
Do you know how many games were released on the Nintendo 64? Could you hazard a guess at that?
I'm going to say not very many.
Yeah, I don't think his library was that big, man. What are we saying, 500 or less?
It's 230 total.
Wow, man.
I was going to say 200, so that's shocking.
Did the PlayStation 1 have about 800 games?
Yeah, but hang on. The PlayStation 1, I mean, we all talk about the shovelware the Wii has.
Oi, if we're talking about quality games, man, there was better games on the PlayStation 1 than there was on the N64. Just saying, man. Controversial.
Yeah, if you've got nearly 1,000 games compared to nearly
actually,
4
do you know what?
times
I'm not going to say that, because this is the N64's video. So for this video, the
No, well, you've done it
N64
now.
games, man.
You're not
No,
taking that back. There's
I'm
no
going to
edits.
shoot you down.
What you can't stop me. I'm
No,
going
but
to it now though.
But volume-wise, I mean, the N64, it's funny because looking back on it, that was the turning point really for Nintendo because they could have joined with Sony back then. And in hindsight, imagine if we can only imagine what the gaming industry would be like had Nintendo or had they have gone with CDs instead of sticking with cartridges. And obviously that was the reason why there wasn't that many games for the N64 in comparison.
Yeah.
But the thing with Nintendo is, I mean, if you could pick up any Mario game or any game made by Nintendo directly, or that they work very closely on, and you will find very little, if any, bugs. And I was thinking about this the other day, and they pride themselves on this quality of game rather than the flashiness and all that. So it doesn't matter, even if a game's a load of shit, it won't have bugs in it. And I suppose you can't really argue with them in that sense. Whereas if you pick up some of the PlayStation 1 games, was it Urban Assault? I think it was. I played around my cousins. I couldn't.
I remember Urban Assault.
It was horrendous.
Wait, no, I don't remember Urban Assault. Are you sure it wasn't Urban Chaos?
Urban Chaos, that's the one.
Where you play as
Oh my God,
black
that
chick,
game.
yeah? That is that game, yeah?
It was unplayable.
It's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah.
Dreadful game. Absolutely
Right.
abysmal. I played that game.
I can't actually believe that was allowed to be released. We're talking about games that I mean, for people who don't understand, imagine downloading a game on Android and it doesn't work. It keeps shutting down. It's glitchy as fuck, right? But it's fine because on Android it's free. This game probably would have cost at least 30-40 quid.
Yep.
And yeah, it was a rip-off Paradise back then. It could have easily gotten away with it because they were cheap to make. Or easy to make, I should say. Not easy, but they were cheap. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah,
No.
I think there was a lot of things.
Save us,
and it's funny
JB.
that none of us.
We'll end it. That's what we'll do, Johnny. I'm going to cut
I
you
was
off.
going to talk about Turok.
No. You want to talk about Turok? All right, I'm ending this, right?
The fact that no one mentioned it.
Well, no,
Because
I'm gonna let Janny carry on then because I liked her.
Yeah, no.
It's one of the games
hang
I
on.
owned.
Wait,
Fucking-
Turok. I don't understand how it did so well. It was horrendously shit.
All right, no, end
It
it.
was-
Fuck you, Janny.
Why was it good?
Because it was
The
fun,
jumping
man.
was the worst. It was first person jumping and onto skinny platforms, which was nigh on impossible.
It was fun for the
Oh,
same
that
reason that GoldenEye was fun, man. You played with friends.
Oh,
I even had Turok Battle
Fuck
Arena,
off.
one that had no single player, man. It was just an arena shooter.
Can we end this now? You
Maybe
did not
Johnny's
just
just,
compare. You did not compare GoldenEye or Turok to GoldenEye. You
I'm
did
just
not
saying,
mention them.
I'm just saying,
For its multiplayer.
GoldenEye didn't have a cerebral bore, man. The cerebral bore was the shit. Turok for life, man. Let's end this.
I think Johnny's just racist. Right. Anyway, so thank you, Nintendo 64, for all your 32.93 million consoles sold, and your long and prosperous life. Sorry.
We've just forgotten one thing that the N64 was marketed at, and none of us have even mentioned. We've touched on it, but the fact that you could play 4-player.
Well, we all mentioned it. Don't know, where did you
We
get
probably
lost,
did.
Jenny? Did you go to sleep halfway through the video?
No. We all said that we played with our friends, but
I certainly made a
it
point
was
to
the
say a
first console
four-player
that was 4
co-op.
players.
No, I mean, I think I'll touch on it briefly then from earlier. Like I did say about, Mario Tennis and WWF No Mercy, those 4-player moments do make those games stand the test of time for me. And I'll go back and happily play those 4-player couch co-op again. And something we have mentioned a lot in podcasts recently is you have that missing now, that sofa co-op and
The social aspect.
the social aspect.
We do it every now and again, but I don't know. It doesn't quite feel the same as going around to your mates. Maybe it's because I could only had 2 controllers, so they had to bring their own. And
It's the commitments you have now as an adult, Janny. That's what it is. When you used to finish school and just, flog off your homework to watch Goosebumps and then play
Pro tip.
WCW versus NWO Revenge all afternoon.
Yeah, I
This
probably
is-
had more commitments as a kid than I do now.
This is the part of the video where you need to pause and give yourself a nostalgic flashback montage, man, of your life.
Are you
Rumble
kidding?
packs.
Nobody's still listening. They've fucking given up half an hour ago. Anyway, on that note, thank you for joining this little improv celebration of.
Nintendo
I said improv,
64.
right? Did I say improv or improv?
You
I
said
meant to say
improv.
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 Let's say improv. And anyway, but yeah, no, thank you very much. And you can
Nintendo.
you can get my mind around doing the other bit again. But no, if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're there. gsc_games. We're on Facebook in the same sort of way without the at maybe. All of our individual Twitter tags will be down in the description apparently.
It's where
Right,
they
Ben?
live. It's where they go.
That's where they live. It's where they live for you to find us. I've had a few follows recently from people listening, I think.
Is that you guys? We hope it's you guys.
They're real. They're real people. I know they are. I go on their profiles and they're gamers, and I've not really been on Twitter much recently, so it must be down to listening to this. But I'm going to get back on Twitter. Anyway, we'll bring the podcast back properly soon because we've got the big 50 celebration, and we didn't want to do it without Johnny. That would be silly because 50 is a big number.
It's
Right,
big,
guys?
It's a big milestone, man.
Yeah, so more of that to come soon. But thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
And a goodbye to you all.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye.